as sorry as everything is, as sympathetic as, you know, as maybe the world would pour out its heart to you for that terrible thing which you went through. But maybe there is a right answer. How far are you willing to go to uphold the values which you hold dear? How far are you willing to go to protect or to guard the things that make you who you are, the things that define you, the things that make you, that distinguish you, the things which distinguish you from other people, the things who make you who you are, the things who make you proud of who you are, the things that keep you sane, the things that you believe in to carry on from day to day. How far are you willing to go to uphold those constructs, those values, those morals which make you distinctly human? Right? Like, for instance, say that you are a Christian. Say that you're a Christian, and to do something like, say that you're a Christian and you believe in God wholeheartedly, or you're trying your best. You're trying to be the best Christian that you can possibly be, because you can't imagine a world without God. And the idea of God is very important to you, and you believe that God is necessary for you, for your continued existence. You believe that you owe everything to God, right? Everything that is good and everything that is bad, and everything that has happened in your life. How far are you willing to protect that? Like, how serious are you about being a Christian, for instance, right? I remember this movie. This was a very impactful movie. This movie by Martin Scorsese. What is it called? Is it called Silence? Yeah, the Garfield guy. The Garfield something. Spider-Man was in it, right? Spider-Man was in that movie. The Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah. Andrew Garfield. Yeah, so he was in that movie, and he plays like a priest, like a priest who goes, like the guy, the priest who goes from foreign country, who goes to foreign countries to spread the word of the Lord. Right, and in that movie, it's it asks the question, like, how far. Well, it doesn't ask. Maybe, sure, you could say that it asks such a question: how far are you willing to stand for your values, for the things that you believe in, the things that make you who you are? So, like, for instance, would you step on the cross, right? Would you spit on the cross? Would you do that, right? If someone had you at gunpoint and they told you spit on the cross, would you spit on the cross? Like, are you willing to be pragmatic? Is it okay to be pragmatic? It's like, like, whatever you do to me, whatever you force me to do, like, just understand that this is not real. It's like, you're making me do this, right? Like, would you, in order to save your own life, would you say, all right, I'm going to spit on this cross, and I'm just gonna have you leave me alone, right? Like, would you spit on the cross? Would you take a pragmatic stance in order to save your life, so that you may continue on, or would that be a betrayal? It's like, what are you willing to die for? And if you realize you're not willing to die for such a thing, it's like, are you willing to die for the ultimate ideal, or are you willing to be pragmatic enough that sometimes maybe not so? But if you were willing to spit on the cross, it depends. It also depends on how, if you're like a dedicated person, right? If you're a dedicated Christian, it's like, maybe you could say this is an easy thing for someone who doesn't live their life with the fear of God. No, I don't want to mention. Let us stick to this example. I just thought of a terrible example. I just thought of a very terrible situation, but let us use this for now. Maybe it's a bit lighter, right? Considering, you could argue this is an inanimate object, right? So, would you, or would you be willing to take a pragmatic stance and, spit on the cross, so that, because this is not, it's like it wouldn't be true. Someone forced you to do it, right? It's like, so it's okay, right? Would you be willing to do that? Or would you be willing to, or would you say, no, I'm not going to do this, whether you're joking or not? Even as a joke, I would never do this. This is something I take seriously. Like, no, you're not going to make me do this. Yeah, the guy is holding a gun to your head, and he's telling you to do this. He's serious. He's going to shoot you. Would you be willing to die in that moment? It's like, it's like you're sitting all by yourself, minding your own business, and this guy just comes out of nowhere, and he says he's going to end your life then and there. He's going to end your life then and there if you don't spit on the cross, because he knows you're a devout Christian, right? He knows that spit on it, step on it, and mire it in the ground. It's like, what is a thing like that? What is a thing like that? What would it? Okay, well, in any case, let us say that maybe under the terms and services of self-preservation, it would not be so smart to refuse. It's like, you would not be winning that battle. Do it and then live another day. You can repent, right? But like, what is greater? What is greater? To stand. What is greater? What is noble? And what is foolish? Well, the foolish thing again is to betray self-preservation, right? And again, it's like how far. It's like a situation like that. It's like someone forces you to betray yourself, and you betray yourself. It's like, are you a weak man, or are you pragmatic? Are you a pragmatic man? Like, what are you? Are you a weak man, or are you a pragmatic man? A question like that, you ask it to yourself, and I think you would know the answer in any case. If you're a pragmatic man, then well, essentially you've betrayed this idea which you thought you upheld to the highest. It's like, essentially, if you are a pragmatic man, then still you have betrayed this great and ultimate idea which you subscribe to and have practiced for maybe a great part of your life. It's like, if you're pragmatic, you're still a traitor. Like, if you to really think about it, it's not really something. It's like, you can repent and you can be forgiven, yes, right? But you did betray. You did betray. And if you're serious about the religion, you would think about the First Amendment. And if the First Amendment, the First Commandment, the First Commandment, which goes something like, it's like, you will worship no other God, but the Lord Himself, right? It's something like that. And for you to pragmatically deny God, or to forsake God in that moment of self-preservation, it's like, whether you did it out of pragmatism, it's like you've still betrayed God. So if you genuinely did it out of pragmatism, it's like, yeah, you've still betrayed God. Like, you still betrayed the ultimate ideal. The ultimate ideal. And if you did it out of weakness, what is better? To do it out of pragmatism or to do it out of weakness? Right? to do it out of fear for your life. Right? But say you're willing to do it. Say you're willing to do it. Right? Say you're willing to do it. You're wholeheartedly willing to die then and there, to lay down your life, for God. Like if you say you're willing to do it immediately, say you have a family with you, and the guy sees that you can do it, so he takes up your family, he takes up your family and friends, he says he's going to shoot them instead. Now do it. Now spit on that cross, step on that cross, take out your penis and, I don't know, defecate on the cross, right? It's like, how far, this guy, he's a vicious guy. He's a Machiavelli, right? This guy, he's like the ultimate adversary. This guy is a vile piece of trash, right? He forces you to do this. It's like, how far are you willing to take it? It's like, it's one thing to lay down your life. It's another to be forced to do something because someone else is at risk if you don't. And I'm thinking for most people who would do it, who would spit or step on the cross, disregarding their own lives, I think a lot of people, that's where they would draw the line. It's like, oh man, right? It's like that's where I draw the line. I can't not do this. I'm so sorry, right? Like in a situation like that, you pray, you would pray that God understands at least, even though it really doesn't work like that. It's like at the end of the day, you've still betrayed the ultimate ideal. Like, so, it's like you would think, well, shit, man, like it can't be helped. It can't be helped. It's a terrible situation. You're forced to do a terrible thing, whether you like it or not. And it's not even up to your life. It's up to the lives of others, that are put at risk. And I thought about this. It's a very thought-provoking movie. Although ironically, they have it at like a 7 at IMDb. The movie is so intense. It's such a gripping movie that is so gripping that it has to be like a 10 out of 10, or at least like a high 9. It's such a trembling movie. It's such a mind-boggling movie. It's like it's the kind of question I never want to ask myself, or right, because I like to test what I believe in. I like to see how far. I like to see how far I can take. To what extent do I believe something? I like to do that, and I was thinking maybe I can do a video on this, like a well comprehensive video. Yeah, but like at some point I was like, no, I don't want to do this. This would be a very terrible thing to ask myself, and I'm not even going to answer that now, or at least like I think generally you're going to, like, I don't even want to admit I don't want to admit the answer. It's not a question I would want to admit an answer to. It's like whether you're like a religious person or not. It's like to ask yourself, how far are you willing to what degree are you willing to betray yourself, to betray who you are, to betray the thing that makes you you? How far are you willing to go? Like what circumstances would you say, all right, this is enough? It's like, how serious are you about something? This is a very serious matter, by the way. By the way, this is a very serious matter. This is a very serious matter because it's like people. That movie, Silence. This guy, he was a missionary. He went to Japan, and yeah, like that's a very good place to have a movie like that, to have to test an idea like that, because these people are very vicious in the way that they cling to ideas and concepts, or these people will commit suicide because maybe this soldier he acted a fool. This soldier acts a fool in front of like a lord or like a visitor. This guy, he's going to feel such shame. He will arrange the death of himself and his entire family, as compensation for acting a fool in front of like a high lord. So like these people are very serious. Like these people, the Japanese Asians, like they take their ideas, they take their oaths and vows very seriously. So like imagine, and you can't really just brush off these people as insane, right? Like you would think, like, what are you, insane? You're going to you're going to cry over such a simple thing as stepping on a cross, right? Are you going to cry about that? You're going to hesitate over something so simple? It's like you only think that if you don't uphold such a value. It's like you only think that if you don't have, if you're not inclined to such an idea, right? Here's something else. I wonder about this actually. I wonder about this one. Okay, well let's put it in the historical context. There's these things. Not things. There's these things. Okay, well yes. There's this book, or there's this point in history, World War II, where the Japanese, went to war against the Chinese. They invaded them. They killed a lot of their people. The Japanese basically had their own Holocaust, right? It's like Germany had its own Holocaust. Russia had its own Holocaust later on, killing its own people. And Japan had a Holocaust where it was killing a bunch of Chinese people, right? They experimented on them. They had these atrocious experiments. They had contests where they would line up the people, and these two guys, they had a contest. They had a contest where they decided who will cut off the most heads before they get tired, or before their sword, blunt sword breaks. So they line up all these people, men, women, children. They line up over a pit. They start cutting off their heads, right? They cut off their heads, and at some point they get so tired that they have to, they have to hack at the person multiple times before the head comes clean off. So, and you're the next guy in line, and you're seeing this. You're seeing this person getting hacked in the neck over and over because this guy is too tired to do it clean anymore. It's like, first, like, this is very atrocious, but now this guy can't even do it properly, and you're there watching in suspense, right? Maybe you have your head down, and there's all these bodies collecting down in the pit before you, and so those were the kinds of things those guys did, besides the biological experiments, the biological disease experiments. And there was also this thing where it's like they would force families on each other, right? Like they would force a father on his daughter, a son on the mother, right? So that's the entire thing I was alluding to, right? It's like, say you don't believe in God, but say you have a family, and someone forces you to do that. Someone says they will kill you, or they will kill your daughter, they will kill your son, right? Unless you do this to them, unless you get on top of them, right? It's like you understand the idea. It's like, right? I mean, I don't want to explain that any further. It's like, how far are you willing to go? It's like, you love your family, you love your son, you love your daughter. How far are you willing to go to protect them? Right? It's like, would you rather die before you're forced on someone that you care about, or would you do it out of pragmatism? And if you do it, would it be pragmatism, or would it be out of weakness. And which is worse, right? Which is worse, pragmatism or the weakness of spirit? And the weakness of spirit, this is not an easy thing. It's like, as hard a man as one may be, or as hard a person as one may be, man or woman, it's like there's a limit. There's a freaking limit. Like, everyone has their limit. And something I think a lot of us would agree on is that perhaps I don't want to find my limit. I never want to be put in a situation where I'm forced to find my limit, right? It's like, to what degree is life worth living? It's like, there's certain things, it's like, I would not do such a thing, and I would rather die. Or it's like, I would rather, if there was a button, I would turn my brain off immediately before I did such a thing. Or I would suffer the worst death before I did such a thing. Before I betrayed that image, that concept, that idea, that morality. Right? How far are you willing to go? And I think the simple answer is that we all have limits. Everyone has their limit capacity, limit storage, right? Encumbered. You can't run any further. It's like, yeah, like, but what if it's not enough to simply end your life, to end your own life, or to accept to be killed? What if it's like, okay, it's not your life that's on the line, it's the life of someone else. It's like, would you rather let that person die, than to betray them in such a way? Would you reckon that it is better that they died than to live on, for how long they have to live on in such a terrible situation, than to live on with such a memory, right? Yeah, I wonder what would be better. Would it be better that you would have your loved one, shot and killed immediately, than for you to perpetrate on them in such a despicable manner? And yeah, well, that is a question. That is a question no one would want to answer. And maybe like, whatever answer you choose, maybe you choose the right answer, maybe you choose the wrong answer, and maybe you go on and you think about it, and maybe you realize you chose wrong, or maybe you think about it the other way. Maybe you wonder if you could go back, would you do it differently? Well, maybe of course you would like to go back and choose differently. Yeah, but like, what is the right answer? What is the wrong answer? And maybe there is no answer, but maybe there is just a choice, or maybe there is a right answer. There is an ultimate morality that would say, it's like, yeah, I'm very sorry for you. I'm very sorry for you. This was a very terrible situation that you had to go through, but I'm sorry still that there was a right answer, and you got it wrong. You got it wrong. You didn't make the right decision, and you have to live with it. And if you decide to end yourself, maybe that's another wrong answer. And it's like taking the easy way out. Maybe you made the right you made the wrong answer then, and you made the wrong answer even now. You made the wrong choice even now, and now you're going to suffer twice and double for it. And that's just that. As sorry as everything is, as sympathetic as as maybe the world would pour out its heart to you for that terrible thing which you went through. But maybe there is a right answer. And I don't think it's so easy to convince ourselves otherwise. Whether you know the right answer or not, I think you're always going to think, I didn't choose properly, I didn't choose correctly, right? You're not gonna let yourself off the hook by thinking there was no answer, right? That's the whole thing of guilt. That's the whole thing of, I wish I could go back and do things different, right? Whether there's an answer, whether there's a right answer or not, I it's something you would have to live with for the rest of your life.